Let me tell you something. There is nothing more powerful than your absence. You were there, you gave, you loved, you cared, and then one day you pulled back. And now, he can't stop thinking about you. See, people don't appreciate the air they breathe until they're gasping for it. And that's exactly what's happening right now. When you remove yourself from someone's life, when you stop giving them unlimited access, they start to feel the void. They wonder, they reflect, they realize. And here's the truth. Your silence is louder than words. Your absence is more powerful than your presence ever was. Because the moment you step back, you shift the power dynamic. You shift the power dynamic. You go from being an option to becoming a memory that haunts their mind. Why? Because mystery is addictive. Uncertainty is intoxicating. And the human brain is wired to chase what it no longer has. So don't second guess yourself. Don't run back the moment they reach out. Don't lower your value because they suddenly miss you. No, stand firm. Make them earn you. Because when you walk away with confidence, you don't just become unforgettable. You become a lesson they'll never forget. And that is power. Let's talk about something most people don't understand, the power of absence. See, we live in a world that tells us if we want someone to notice us, if we want to be appreciated, we need to be present, to show up, to give more, to prove our worth. But what if I told you that the real power isn't in being seen all the time? What if I told you that the secret to being unforgettable is in your ability to walk away? Because here's the truth. Presence is expected, but absence is felt. You ever notice how people don't appreciate something until it's gone? A person gets used to the sun shining every morning, but take that sun away for a week. Suddenly, they miss the warmth. They crave the light. They long for what they took for granted. The same thing happens in relationships. When you're always there, always giving, always accessible, people start to assume you'll always be there. They stop valuing you because they think your presence is guaranteed. But the moment you step back, that's when reality hits. Why absence creates value. Psychologists call this psychological reactance. It's the idea that when people feel like they're losing something or someone, they suddenly want it more. It's human nature. We crave what we can't have, we value what is scarce, and we miss what we once had easy access to. Think about it. If you text someone every morning, if you always pick up their calls, if you're constantly available, you're training them to see your presence as normal. And when something becomes normal, it becomes invisible. But the moment you stop, the moment you pull back, that's when they start to wonder, where did they go? Why aren't they calling? Did I do something wrong? And now you're in their head. Now they can't ignore you because your absence has created a gap they weren't expecting. Absence makes the heart grow fonder, if done right. Now, don't get it twisted. This isn't about playing games. It's not about manipulation. This is about knowing your worth. Because when you pull away, you're not just making someone miss you, you're giving them the space to realize your value. See, people don't fall in love with constant presence. They fall in love with memories, with emotions, with the impact you leave behind. And memories don't grow when you're always there. They grow when there's distance, when there's time to reflect. Think about some of the greatest stories in history, epic love stories, legendary friendships, unforgettable mentors. The common theme? Time apart. It's in the longing, the missing, the reflection that people realize just how much someone means to them. And this isn't just about romance. This applies to friendships, to business, to life. Ever notice how people praise their old boss after they quit? How they talk about an ex years later, wondering what could have been? How a song reminds them of someone they lost touch with? That's the power of absence. It creates reflection. It forces people to acknowledge what was once overlooked. Silence is louder than words. People expect noise. They expect explanations. They expect a reaction. But when you walk away in silence, when you pull back without warning, that silence becomes deafening. Because now they have to fill in the blanks. Now they have to question, to wonder, to analyze. And in that process, your value increases. Most people chase, they beg, they demand answers. But the one who walks away with confidence, that's the one who leaves a lasting impact. Because silence forces respect. It demands attention. It makes people sit with their thoughts. And those thoughts, my friend, will revolve around you. How to use absence as strength. Don't over-explain. You don't need to justify why you're stepping back. The moment you explain, you give them control. Let them wonder. Let them feel it. Make your absence meaningful. Don't just disappear. Leave an impression first. Be unforgettable in your actions, your words, your energy. That way, when you're gone, your presence lingers. Let them come to you. If someone values you, they will notice your absence. They will reach out. And if they don't, then your absence has done you a favor. It has shown you who truly cares. Stay unbothered. The moment you act desperate, the effect is gone. Walk away with confidence. Let them sit in their thoughts. Trust that your absence speaks for itself. The most powerful thing you can do is remove yourself from places where you're not valued. If someone doesn't appreciate your presence, give them the gift of your absence. Watch how fast they realize what they lost. Because when you step back, you don't just disappear. You become a memory, a question, a force they can't ignore. And that, right there, is how you make sure they never stop thinking about you. There's a reason why people can't stop thinking about what they don't fully understand. It's wired into human psychology. The more uncertain, the more mysterious, the more out of reach something is, the more the mind fixates on it. This is exactly why when you pull away, when you create distance, suddenly they can't stop thinking about you. You see, the human brain is designed to seek closure. It hates unfinished stories. It wants answers, it wants clarity, and when it doesn't get that, it begins to obsess. Think about it. Have you ever had a song stuck in your head? Not because you love it, but because you only remember part of the lyrics? That's how the mind works. It clings to what feels incomplete. And when you pull back from someone, when you stop being so available, so predictable, you create an open loop in their mind. You become that unfinished song, that unsolved puzzle. And now they can't help but think about you. The power of uncertainty. People chase what they don't fully understand. Think about it. Why do we keep watching suspense movies? Why do we keep flipping pages in a mystery novel? Because we need to know what happens next. The tension, the unknown, it keeps us hooked. And relationships, human connections, are no different. When someone knows everything about you, when you're always there, always responding, always available, there's no mystery, there's no tension. You become predictable, and predictability leads to complacency. But the moment you pull back, the moment you stop feeding them all the answers, that's when their mind starts racing. Did I do something wrong? Are they losing interest? Why aren't they responding like before? And that right there, that uncertainty, is where your power lies. Why scarcity increases value. We value what is rare. It's a simple principle in economics, in psychology, in life. The less accessible something is, the more people want it. Look at diamonds. Are they the strongest material in the world? No, but they're rare, and that scarcity makes them valuable. The same applies to you. If you're always there, always giving, always chasing, people don't feel the need to earn your presence. But when you step back, when you create scarcity, suddenly they start to realize your worth. Think about social media. Why do people get addicted? Because of variable rewards. You don't always get a like. You don't always get a notification. And that unpredictability keeps you hooked. That's why people keep checking, keep refreshing, keep craving that next hit of attention. And in relationships, when you become predictably unpredictable, you create that same effect. If you respond immediately every time, you're just another notification. But when you pull back, when you stop feeding into expectations, you create a sense of lack, and that lack makes people crave your presence. How the mind works against itself. Here's something interesting. When you tell someone not to think about something, what happens? They think about it even more. It's called the ironic process theory. Tell yourself, don't think about a pink elephant. Boom! Pink elephant in your mind. Now apply that to relationships. When you walk away, when you stop engaging, that person might try to convince themselves that they don't care, that they're over it, that you don't matter. But guess what? The very act of trying not to think about you means they're thinking about you. And the more they try to forget, the more they remember. The art of controlled distance. Now, this isn't about manipulation. This is about self-respect. This is about understanding that your energy is valuable and that when you pull back, you allow people the space to appreciate you. But here's the key. You can't fake this. If you're pulling back just to get a reaction, it won't work. Because true power comes when you step away not to test them, but because you genuinely know your worth. Be unpredictable, but not toxic. You don't need to ghost people, but you also don't need to be overly available. Let them wonder. Let them anticipate. Leave an impact before you pull away. Make sure your presence is felt before your absence is noticed. Be unforgettable in your energy, your words, your actions. Don't chase, attract. When someone starts feeling your absence, let them come to you. The moment you chase, you give away your power. Stay in control of your emotions. The person who is the least emotionally reactive in a situation always has the upper hand. Keep your composure. People don't crave what they fully understand. They crave what keeps them guessing, what keeps them engaged, what keeps them searching for answers. And that's exactly why, when you step back, when you stop giving everything away, when you create space, you become unforgettable. They might not even know why, but they'll find themselves thinking about you, wondering about you, missing you, because that's how the mind works. It obsesses over what it can't fully grasp. Let's get one thing straight. You are not an afterthought. You are not someone's convenience, their backup plan, their second choice. You are the prize. And the moment you start acting like it, the entire dynamic shifts. See, too many people go through life seeking validation instead of realizing they already bring value. They chase people who don't reciprocate. They overextend. They compromise their standards just to be liked, just to be accepted. And the truth, the more you overgive, the more people take you for granted. But when you pull back, when you reclaim your worth, that's when people start to respect you. That's when they start to miss you. That's when they realize, damn, I had something real and I let it slip away. The illusion of availability. Have you ever noticed that the things people chase the hardest are often the ones they can't have? The exclusive event, the limited edition sneaker, the luxury brand with a long waiting list. Why? Because scarcity creates value. Now think about yourself. If you're always there, always answering, always available, always giving, what message does that send? It tells people, I'm always here, so I must not be that valuable. It's harsh, but it's true. Human nature is built on supply and demand. When you're too accessible, you lower your perceived worth. But the moment you remove yourself, that's when people start realizing what they had. Because here's the thing, people respect what they have to earn. They appreciate what they have to work for. And when you stop making it so easy, they start reflecting on what they took for granted. Why people only appreciate you when you're gone. Have you ever been in a situation where someone didn't value you until you walked away? It's not a coincidence. It's a psychological reaction. When someone knows you're always there, they stop thinking about what it would be like without you. But when you pull back, when you step away, it forces them into a position they weren't expecting. Now they have to sit with their thoughts. Now they have to wonder why you're not reaching out. Now they have to question if they messed up. And in that space, growth happens, clarity happens. They start reflecting because reflection only happens in silence, not in noise, not in constant availability, but in absence. That's why some of the deepest realizations happen after a breakup, after a friendship ends, after an opportunity is lost. People don't reflect when things are easy, they reflect when things change. And when you remove yourself from someone's life, you force them to reevaluate your worth, reclaiming your power, the shift in mindset. So, how do you stop being taken for granted? How do you reclaim your worth? Stop proving yourself. You don't need to convince anyone of your value. Your presence is already a gift. If someone doesn't see that, that's their loss, not yours. Pull back when you're unappreciated. The moment you feel undervalued, don't argue, don't beg, just leave. When you argue, you seek validation. When you leave, you demand respect. Recognize your own worth first. How someone treats you is a reflection of how you treat yourself. If you tolerate less than you deserve, people will assume that's your standard. Create boundaries and stick to them. Boundaries aren't walls. They are guidelines that show people how to treat you. If someone constantly disrespects those boundaries, it's time to go. Make them earn your time. Your time, energy, and love are valuable. Stop giving them away for free to people who don't reciprocate. When someone has to earn access to you, they cherish it more. Your energy is a gift, not a guarantee. Imagine this, you've been giving and giving, pouring into someone who never reciprocates. You've been present, supportive, patient, but instead of appreciation, you get neglect. You get inconsistency. Now ask yourself, why am I accepting this? Because when you recognize that your energy is a gift, not a guarantee, everything changes. You stop chasing, you stop begging, you stop settling. And the moment you step back, the moment you stop overextending, that's when people start realizing what they lost. Not because they want to, but because they have to. Because now, instead of constantly being there, you've become a memory, a lesson, a presence they can't just replace. And that's when the regret kicks in. People don't miss you because you beg them to. They don't appreciate you because you convince them. They miss you because they feel your absence. They appreciate you because they can no longer take you for granted. And that only happens when you stop giving your presence to people who don't deserve it. So walk like the prize you are. Speak with confidence, move with certainty. Don't over-explain, don't overgive, don't overstay. Because the one who knows their worth, that's the one who is never forgotten. Let's talk about something most people struggle with: detachment. See, in life, we are taught to hold on, to try harder, to fix things. We think if we just put in more effort, if we just prove ourselves, if we just stick around long enough, people will appreciate us. But that's not how human nature works. The more desperate you seem, the less valuable you appear. If you've ever found yourself begging for someone's attention, constantly checking your phone, overthinking their every move, you're operating from a place of attachment. And attachment, it breeds anxiety, it lowers your self-worth, and worst of all, it pushes people away. But detachment is power. Detachment makes people respect you. It makes them see you differently. It forces them to question why you're not reacting, why you're not chasing, why you're not begging for their time. And that silence, that lack of neediness, that's when they start wanting you more. Why desperation kills attraction and respect. People can sense desperation a mile away. It's in the way you text too quickly, the way you over-explain, the way you try to prove your worth. And when someone senses desperation, their first instinct is to pull away. Why? Because desperation is unattractive. It signals that you're placing too much importance on someone else instead of valuing yourself. Think about it. When a salesperson is too pushy, do you want to buy from them? No. You feel uncomfortable. You feel like they need you more than you need them. Now apply that to relationships. When you're always available, always initiating, always trying to prove yourself, you're basically saying, you are more important than me. I need you to feel valuable. Please pick me. And that energy, it kills attraction, it kills respect. But when you detach, when you stop needing someone to validate you, suddenly you become more desirable. Suddenly they start wondering why you're not chasing. Suddenly they feel the shift. And that shift makes them realize your worth. How detachment creates curiosity and intrigue. You ever notice how people are most interested in what they can't fully understand? It's why movies with a plot twist keep you thinking. It's why an unread text message lingers in your mind. It's why someone who isn't always available seems more interesting than someone who is. That's because the mind craves mystery, it craves uncertainty. It's wired to focus on things that don't feel completely resolved. And when you detach, when you stop over-explaining, when you stop reacting to every little thing, when you stop making it clear how much you care, you create an open loop in their mind. Now they're thinking about you. Now they're wondering why you pulled back. Now they're reevaluating their own behavior. And that's where the power is. Because when someone starts thinking about you without you forcing it, that's when you've truly left an impression. The art of walking away without emotion. Here's what most people get wrong about detachment. They think it means being cold, heartless, or unbothered. But that's not true detachment. True detachment isn't about acting like you don't care. It's about knowing you don't need to prove that you do. Detach from outcomes. Stop trying to control how people feel about you. Whether they stay or leave, whether they text back or ignore you, it doesn't define your worth. The moment you stop caring about the outcome, you regain control. Silence is powerful. Use it. You don't always need to explain yourself. You don't always need to respond. Sometimes the best thing you can do is nothing. Let people sit with their own thoughts. Let them wonder. Give space without fear. Most people are terrified of pulling back because they think they'll be forgotten. But the truth? If someone truly values you, space will make them realize it. And if they don't, then your absence has done you a favor. It's revealed who was never really for you. Remain confident in your worth. When you know what you bring to the table, you stop chasing people who don't see it. Confidence isn't loud, it's quiet certainty. It's knowing that no matter what happens, you will be just fine. When you pull back, you force reflection. See, most people never stop to reflect until something changes. They don't miss you when you're always there. They don't appreciate you when you're constantly giving. They don't question their behavior when you keep tolerating it. But the moment you detach, the moment you pull back, now they're left with silence. And silence forces people to think. They start replaying memories. They start wondering what went wrong. They start realizing they took you for granted. And the irony, the more they think about you, the more they start missing you. The more they start craving your presence, the more they start respecting you. That's the power of detachment. He, person who holds the most power, is the one who is willing to walk away without fear. Because when you can walk away, you show that you are not dependent on anyone's approval. You show that you choose to be in someone's life, not because you need them, but because you value yourself enough to only stay where you're appreciated. And that confidence, that certainty, that's what makes you unforgettable. So stop chasing, stop proving, stop holding on to people who aren't afraid to lose you. Instead, detach, pull back, let them feel your absence. Because when you do, that's when they finally start to realize what they had. Most people think influence comes from what they say, from how much they explain, from how hard they try to prove themselves. But in reality, true influence comes from what you don't say, what you don't do, and where you choose not to be. See, people are used to noise. They're used to people fighting for attention, trying to prove their worth, demanding explanations. But what they're not used to? Silence, absence, distance. And that's why your absence is the most powerful statement you can ever make. When you pull away, when you stop engaging, when you let your silence do the talking, people feel it, they notice it, and they start thinking about you in a way they never did before. Because silence forces reflection. Absence forces people to realize what they lost. Why absence creates impact. Human nature is wired to overlook what's always there. Think about the last time you truly appreciated electricity, probably only when the power went out. The last time you cherished water, probably only when you didn't have it. People take consistency for granted. If you're always there, always available, always showing up, people assume you always will be. But the moment you remove yourself, that's when they start to notice. That's when they start to feel your absence. That's when they realize how much space you occupied in their life. Because absence creates contrast, and contrast is what makes people reflect. The psychology behind missing someone. Ever wonder why you think about people more when they stop talking to you? Why an unanswered text lingers in your mind? Why a sudden silence from someone grabs your attention more than 1,000 words ever could? It's because of a simple psychological principle called the Zeigarnik effect. Our brains fixate on unfinished business. When something is unresolved, when something feels incomplete, our minds keep returning to it. It's why cliffhangers in TV shows keep you watching. It's why unanswered questions haunt us. And when you pull away from someone, when you leave without explanation, without closure, you become that unfinished thought in their mind. Suddenly, they're wondering about you. Suddenly, they're questioning what happened. Suddenly, they're missing something they never thought they'd lose. And that's where your power lies. Your absence forces reflection. Here's the truth. Most people don't reflect when everything is comfortable. They don't think about their actions when nothing changes. But when you remove yourself, when you stop showing up, when you go quiet, they're forced to sit with their own thoughts. They start replaying memories. They start noticing how life feels different without you. They start realizing that maybe, just maybe, they took you for granted. Because when someone doesn't have access to you anymore, they start questioning why. Was I wrong? Did I push them away? Do I keep thinking about them? And the more they think, the more they feel. And the more they feel, the more they realize your worth. That's the silent power of your absence. How to use your absence effectively. Pull away without warning. Don't announce it, don't explain it, just remove yourself and let your absence speak for itself. Stay silent even when you're tempted to explain. The moment you start justifying yourself, you weaken your impact. Let people wonder instead. Let them reach out first. If someone values you, they'll feel your absence and they'll act on it. If they don't, then you've just learned how little they cared in the first place. Don't return too quickly. If you pull away and someone suddenly gives you attention, don't rush back. Make sure their actions are genuine, not just a reaction to losing you. Maintain your standards. Your absence should be a sign of self-respect, not a game. Walk away because you know your worth, not because you're trying to manipulate someone into seeing it. Why they'll never forget you. People don't remember words as much as they remember feelings, and nothing creates a stronger emotional impact than the feeling of loss. Your absence becomes a lesson, a wake-up call, a realization. And even if they never tell you, even if they never admit it, they will feel it. They will think about you. They will remember what it was like to have you in their life. And they will compare every future interaction to the way you made them feel. Because once someone has experienced your presence and then lost it, they will never forget the difference. The strongest people are the ones who know when to walk away, not out of anger, not out of revenge, but out of self-respect. When you stop forcing, when you stop explaining, when you simply pull back and let people feel your absence, you teach them the most powerful lesson of all. You are never a convenience. You are a privilege. And the moment they realize that, that's when they finally understand your true value.